Advertisers, welcome to the Horse World Expo.
That was Hannah, who follows me on YouTube, and she reached out and said she was going to be in the area and wanted to help out. So she got to help out with the horses backstage. You'll see more of that in a little bit. But first up, we are competing on day 3 here at the Horse World Expo. So this is Alicia going off in her trail challenge. So she went first of my 2 horses. And this first obstacle, we're supposed to pick up a canter and do a right lead canter circle and get the little hoop off the cow. So this obstacle, not our best obstacle because we didn't canter the whole loop and we missed getting the little ring thing, but my horse was completely unfazed by the cow. And then between the obstacles, we could go as fast as we wanted to. We had to come into the spin box here, and then we do a 360 turn in each direction, looking for the hind feet to stay planted or the inside hind foot to stay planted. You can see it's a pretty packed house here on the Saturday, and that was a really nice turnaround that she just did. Going to the right especially was really nice. And then here is a tarp. I was like, okay, this is a different color tarp, but seriously, girl, if you have a problem with this, we've got issues because you guys all know what she does with the big blue tarp. So over the tarp, over the bridge, no problem. And then this was kind of interesting here. We had to pick up a little gun and then back our horses into a little chute and then fire the little play gun, which actually makes a pretty loud pop noise. You're going to see Alicia startle here in a second when that goes off. I point, I fire, she kind of twitched a little bit, which kind of lets you know there was a noise, but really she did really well with that. I've never practiced that, so I was pretty happy that she was calm through all of that. And the way this course works is you get scored out of 10 on each obstacle. We had to trot to the pylon and then we could canter, and here's the jump, which was a separate obstacle. And then coming down to this next obstacle where you pick up the ball and had to use pick up the stick to hit the ball into the net. And we had 2.5 minutes time allowed to complete each half of the course. So that was the first half. All in all, really, really good. Only the first obstacle a little bit sticky. This is the second half of the course. So here I've got my lasso. I'm throwing it around and I actually catch the cow. So I was really happy with that because my roping skills are not always amazing. And then coming over here, you pick up this little stick thing, and then the idea is to joust. So there's little rings on the top of the poles here. You have to get them. So Lissy actually does this really cute little collected canter for most of them, which is great. And then we just kind of break down to trot for the last one. But all in all, that was pretty nice of an obstacle, pretty smooth. She did that really well. And then we come up to this water box, which she walked through. You didn't even notice it was there. And then there's a little side pass. So you side pass half the pole, side pass back, and go straight through, which she did really nicely. And then a trot weave with these super close together pylons. These are really tight. So she goes around through there, really, really tight, maintains trot through all of it. So I was really happy with that. And then the last obstacle here is basically a barrel race to there's a hula hoop and then a barrel race to the finish. So the hula hoop is supposed to be I think it's a 180 pivot in each direction. And so we put our front feet in the hula hoop. Funny enough, they called this the dressage obstacle. And I'm like, I don't know many dressage horses that could stick their front feet in a hula hoop. And we kind of kick the hoop around. We show that we are not scared of that whatsoever. And then it's off to our barrel race to the finish. And they specifically want to make sure they see the lead change through here. So we do our right canter lead and we get our left canter lead at the center, coming around nice and tight on that barrel there. And all of these obstacles, the 10 different obstacles, represent different disciplines. So it's kind of a versatility challenge. They call it a trail challenge, but it's really more of a versatility challenge because of all the different disciplines that are represented. So that was Lissy. She did super duper awesome. And then here's little Elon. Elon was feeling a little stressed about being in here. You're not really allowed to, you don't have a lot of time to be in here to get ready. You can see that there's not really a lot of waiting time before your first obstacle. So I tried to do as much as I could to settle him here, but he's a bit pulley, bit stressed. We did warm up outside in the warm up area, and he did everything beautifully that we practiced. And then we come in here and I can feel he's tense and he's nervous, and I didn't even bother cantering here. I just did a little trot with him. And then this time instead I focused on making sure I got the little ring on my stick and taking that into the bucket. But we didn't end up with our right canter lead at this obstacle, so we'll score down for that. And then I can feel he's a little tense, so we just do a little bit of trot as we come to our little spin box. I didn't want to waste time because we only have 2.5 minutes, and I didn't want to score out, but I didn't want to push him. We definitely didn't canter. You can see he's doing a nervous poo there. His spin box is okay. Like, that was a turn on the haunches. It's a little bit moving around, but it's not atrocious. It's not awful, but it's definitely not a 10. And then we come into the tarp and the bridge, which he briefly kind of looks at barely, but goes over nicely, a little bit carefully, but he goes over pretty nicely. And then we come over to the gun obstacle. And this one I was pretty worried about because he's already feeling a bit tense and nervous and not himself. And noises, we know for Elon, is not so good for him. Noises are the things that make it upset. So I go to fire the gun and it actually misfires. So I kind of show the judge, like, I do try to hit it a couple times, and even the little clinking of me hitting it a couple times makes Elon just kind of go into the trot a little bit there. So I place that back down, off we go, trotting to the pylon, and then our jump. And he's a little bit kind of pulling and rushing. So I try not to let him go too fast, because as he comes in here, he's not stopping. So I have to do like a quick one rein turn to kind of spin him around to come back at this obstacle, because he was mostly just rushing to go towards the exit. He's like, I don't want to be here. But he's doing well with all the obstacles in terms of picking up the mallet and the ball. Like, he doesn't care. We score the goal. All is well there. It's just still stressed about the show atmosphere and being able to settle for that. Here's the roping obstacle on our second half of the course now, so we only have 2.5 minutes to get this done. We come up to our cow. He stands pretty nicely for me, and I throw and I do a miss there. I knew that he was not standing super quietly for me, so I did it kind of quickly, but also I knew I was going to be taking all of this a little bit slower, so I wanted to kind of get going and not kind of waste time. You can see the other horse beside me is spooking at the cow, which does not really help my whole situation. I decided to just walk the rings to make sure I hit every single one, and also he was already kind of pulling on me a little bit, so I felt like trotting just wouldn't be smart. Better to do the obstacle cleanly. We come into the water box, which he actually does really nicely, walks right through, so I was really happy with that. And then at the side pass, which is a really easy obstacle for him, like we even did the side pass in the water at the horse show in Florida, and because he's so nervous, you can see he's kind of tossing his head a little bit. He's just kind of feeling a little bit stressed. So he just kind of makes that not as pretty as that could have gone, just because he's having a little bit of a moment, being a little bit worried. The trot weave, super hard, so tight, and he's being a little bit wiggly through there. I ended up making the weave really wide in order to be able to get through there, but he does trot off there. Then we have the hula hoop, which I could tell he was pulling on me. He's feeling a little stressed. He just kind of wants to get out of here. So I do a little bit of a 180 on his good direction, and then I decide, you know what? I don't have enough time to do the other side, and the other side is not his good way anyways. So I just go forward and decide to go to the barrel race. And here, when I try to go left around the barrel, he's like, nope, 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 don't want to go between the barrel and the crowd. So I had to really hold that left rein. And then I say, okay, let's just go through trotting, get around there. And so we end up timing out on this obstacle right as we're coming around the last barrel. We time out. We actually get a nice little canter here. I managed to turn him and get ourselves back, so I consider that a win. And then we timed out just barely. So we just barely made it. So we would have gotten, I believe, a 0 on that last particular obstacle. There was a lot of people timing out because of just how quickly you have to go through the course. Even he did really well at the, water box and things like that, but we still timed out. And then I decided to dismount while still in the show ring and just kind of take a moment to breathe before we left. I just wanted him to relax and settle. Here's a little look at the girls playing with Rita. There's a nice little eating area that we found. Evelyn even made a little friend, except for she took her hat off and she was not so happy with that. So Evelyn gives her back her hat, which makes her happy again. But this is kind of the cafe eating area upstairs that was open a couple of days. So she made a little friend that she played with. They even got together on the next day as well to play, which was super fun. We brought Evelyn's mat so they could play with the cars, had a good time. Here's Jen hanging out with Alicia backstage, getting ready for her next performance. So it's really nice to have Rita taking care of the kids, and then I've got all the other helpers helping with everything else that's going on with the horses. Here's our equitainment, or at least some of our equitainment performance sped up for you guys. I already showed you guys one of the performances before, so we kind of were doing the same thing with our jump in there, testing things out. And then we took the ponies for a bit of a walk in the indoor area that's kind of extra on the side. This is King, so King got to go for a walk, and we did some natural confidence building, or opportunity confidence building, I guess I'll call it. They've got the big tractor set up for dragging the ring, so we made use of that, did some tight squeezes. He got some cookies, did really well. We always went places as a herd, so even though I'm kind of taking him away from the group, he was always kind of in eyesight of the other horses. It just wasn't a priority to work on him being by himself. I hadn't practiced any of that with him at home, really going away from the other horses, and it's really big venue. So this was all just about being a really happy experience for King, keeping it pretty easy for him. We went exploring around, different walks, and then we come in for our awards. So this is Elon and Alicia coming in for their awards, and Elon ended up placing 10th, so I'm just bringing him up to get his 10th place ribbon. So I was pretty ecstatic because I wasn't sure that he would place in the top, but he just barely made it into the ribbons, getting that 10th place ribbon. He did have a lot of nice obstacles in there, and just a few things to work on. We really have to get his confidence up in front of the crowds, the big crowds for the competition. And Alicia ended up taking the champion title, so I was really stoked for that. She had a really nice round of obstacles, other than the first obstacle where that was on purpose, by the way, the little rear there for her ribbons. Other than the first obstacle where we didn't get our full right lead canter all the way around on the full circle, otherwise she did everything really, really nicely. Here's just a little look at me getting my two ponies lined up. This was pretty big for Elon too, being able to put the ribbon on his face. I still remember his first horse show where I put the ribbon on his face, and it nearly was a catastrophe. He nearly went running away from me, and it could have been really, really bad if he got loose with that ribbon still attached to his face. So instead, now he's got this big ribbon on his face. He's come so far, and he gets to be in the ring with Alicia around the with the crowd and everything and the applause. So I was really happy that he got a chance to go back into the ring after that to get nice and settled too. Here's just a tiny clip it sped up of our evening performance, which was truly epic. We had so much fun, and it was like perfect. I just loved that performance. A little look after the fact, doing some autographs and handing out some cards and whatnot. We always love meeting everybody afterwards. Alicia was saying, okay, like, I've done a lot today. Can I go back and get my supper, please? So Jen is holding her and feeding some cookies and taking her along with me so she can stay happy as we make our rounds with everybody going around. But I thought Saturday was probably the best day. It was so much fun. The evening performance, the competition, just really a feeling of being on cloud nine, no complaints whatsoever. And taking us into the last day of Horse World Expo will be my next video.